everybody. Welcome to Xavia Fox Talks, and I am your host, Xavia Fox.
Type of nutrient foods, like sometimes you get an apple and it's like, oh, I don't really like apple, and the reason for it is because the apple just tasted bland.
Well, you know what? Actually, my girl makes this salad, and she has all these cucumbers and she chops them up. So, and it's really good salad. So it's okay. I'll make it.
So then I tell people, just open your mind. 28 days is not difficult, and I guarantee you the food tastes good. Like I say, and then you have later on, you have this spelt spaghetti. Spelt is a flour, but it's an alkaline flour, so it has a different effect than any of the wheat flour or definitely the white flour, and it has a very good taste to it. I had a buddy of mine who just started it, and he was like, man, he called me up and it's like, man, that spaghetti was off the chain. The kids and the whole thing, he didn't think the family was going to eat it and enjoy it that much. So we have a spelt spaghetti.
I don't actually like wheat pasta.
And there's a reason for that. Wheat is not really that good for the body at all.
Okay.
Yeah. And nutritionally, the book kind of talks about certain aspects of that.
I do like wheat flour though. I make chicken with wheat flour and olive oil.
But there's a lot of other common flours that's out there that's been around for thousands of years.
At least it's not white.
Yeah, but you know what? I ain't gonna go there. But definitely with the spelt spaghetti, and then I even have an almond butter and jelly recipe with crackers later on that night. You know, because when you first start the program, I know people have a little snack. You know, sometimes they have little cravings, nightly cravings. And this almond butter with actually I like this fig jelly. It's a great mixture. You mix it up and dip it with crackers. And
it sounds good because I like figs.
Yeah, and you have it in a preserve. Oh my goodness. You know, it's very good, and it's alkaline, it's healthy.
Yeah,
you know, compared to getting a jelly that has high fructose corn syrup, or compared to getting peanut butter. Peanut butter is not a good choice. That's why a lot of people are allergic to peanuts. Almond butter are the best choice because it's above the ground, it has a seed in it. So the book highlights a lot of different things, and like I say, and in the box you made mention of the soap. So one of the main issues why I make sure I included products to utilize in your skin is so that your digestive system is your skin. Your skin is a digestive system. It's the last part of your digestive system. Anything you put on your skin, your cells are fed. So it's important to realize that you can contaminate the body by putting things on top of the skin. So I usually have a rule of thumb: if you can't eat it, if you can't eat it, don't put it on your skin.
Okay.
You know. So with this, you have a natural kelp soap. It has different natural oils. I have natural oils too that I utilize in here too. Almond oil, castor oil, a natural liquid soap. So everything in here is very natural. Several different teas. Yellow dock is for cleansing of the blood. It's a bitter herb, but it's a blood cleanser. And mostly all diseases and diseases start in the blood because that circulates through your system.
Right.
So if you can cleanse out your blood, which you get a brand new blood supply basically every 7 years, if you can continue to put good nutrition in your body to increase the nutrient density of your blood, you can start to see how your body will start to heal itself. You know, but you need to constantly put things that are healthy in the body so the blood can utilize that as it rebuilds and regenerates. A lot of people, I tell in the book, it highlights that the human body, no matter how old it is pretty much no more than 7 years old. Because it takes it regenerates. So, but what happens while we are so easily to be, how can I say, the Merck manual the doctors use to be able to diagnose our issues. We so easily be able to diagnose because we eat the same foods in a certain period of time. So by 30 or 40, you find that everybody start having the same kind of diseases. Because if you're eating the same foods, your body's not allowed to regenerate on a high level. So each and every year, your body is regressing. It's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And after a certain period of times of eating certain types of food, then your body ultimately starts to fail. This system starts to fail. That organ starts to fail. So if we do the flip side and eat the foods that's designated for the body, then you will always regenerate at a high level. each and every, all 7 years. You will constantly be, so you, as you get older, you should be getting better. You should be getting stronger. And I've shown that to be the case. You know, at 43, I have more strength than I did in my 20s. Okay. You know, I play basketball more often or at the same level as I did in my 20s with a lot less injuries. You know, so it's all about what you know and what you do, and that body will constantly regenerate. That's
kind of like the conversation I had with a friend of mine who's a chiropractor actually, but he takes a holistic approach to a lot of things. And I like doctors like that actually, even though they are licensed for Western medicine, they actually take a more holistic approach to stuff. And we were talking one day about high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. And I did some research on high blood pressure once when my mom had gotten sick and she was going to have a stroke or whatever. And when I read about what high blood pressure really was, I said, how is that really hereditary? You know, but what happens is we inherit those eating habits.
Of course.
And so they can predict, well, yeah, you're going to eat like your parents ate,
so of course.
This is going to happen to you too.
It's so not like rocket science.
But they kind of lead us to believe we can't stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I set out from that day that I read that book, I said, you know what, I'm not going to have it. And I don't have it. Everybody, well, not everybody, but you know, my family,
it's prominent.
They have it. You know, my mom takes pills. Right. My dad takes pills and stuff. And I had one high blood pressure reading once in my life, and that was when I was doing events at the church I belonged to, and we switched over to Kojic, and we had the conference like within a month. Mm-hmm. And Bishop was like pressing us, and I was stressed because I was the event planner for the church, so it was front of the house. And I was majorly stressed, and my blood pressure was
yes,
just
that definitely. There's.
Plus, you know what else I was doing? At the time, I wanted to find a different source of to season my food other than salt. I hadn't necessarily gotten turned on to sea salt or any of the other products like that yet, and I was using soy sauce, which is so super high in sodium.
Exactly.
And I started, you know, when my blood pressure went up, I would get these little like dizzy spells, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Mm-hmm. You know, and so then I went and actually right before the conference we had a health fair, so I got my blood pressure checked, and it was like 132 over something or whatever, 85 or 90, and I was like, what the heck? Mm-hmm. You know, because I've never had anything wrong with me before, you know, and so they said, you know, take a look at what you're consuming and, you know, your sodium and stuff. And I started looking, like, what the heck am I consuming that's different? And I looked at that soy sauce, and it was like, oh, it was some astronomical number. I'm like, oh, man, but it makes such a good steak. You marinate soy sauce in the garlic. Oh my goodness, that's a good steak. But it's killing me.
There's so many other different types, and that's why my program highlights a lot of different herbs, because there's so many herbs and so many different types of food we just don't know about. And if we knew about them, you'll find that you can make other foods taste even better than what you've already experienced. You know, and you brought a good point too. On the website, simpleandgood.net, there's a download option, and you can print out a journal, food journal.
Okay.
So that's very important in rectifying, or at least identifying what you're doing, is to write down what you eat, what you drink, keep a count of your water intake, your bowel movements. That's very important to know what time your bowel movements, what time you wake, and what time you sleep. And you can take a look at that.
Sleep.
Exactly.
What's
it's
that?
very important. It's very important.
It used to be something I did regularly. Now I
and those are the things
do it sporadically.
Those are the things you need to look at too, because that can affect your health. So the 28-day program is part of rectifying a person's health. Also, just planning. Once we get a better understanding about what foods we need to eat, and I'm going to say this, and try to be brief about saying this, that my spiritual side tells me that I always have to give reverence to the Creator. And He, through the word of wisdom in Genesis 1:28-29, He told man exactly what to eat. He said, I give man every fruit-bearing tree above the surface of the ground that contains a seed. I give it to man to eat for food, and I give the rest of the green vegetation to the animals. That was man's program as to what they should be eating. Later on, man fell, and then there became other food sources that became given to man to eat. But knowing that food above the ground that contains a seed is man's first given food. Well, for me, I teach to every individual that's the food, and therefore that the human body needs to have first and foremost. We're not going to talk about if it should be the only food. I'm not going to debate that, but it should be at least the first and foremost food that should be on your plate.
Okay.
I'm not wanting to go against the Creator, you know, and I'm glad they're trying to revamp the food pyramid, because they have a lot of things on there that's not part of that. So that's the reason why, then therefore, we are failing in our health all the time, because we're not using. And it's a reason, if you really think about it, things above the ground with a seed in it, first of all, it has life, because it has a seed that you can plant in the ground and give forth more fruitage. Second of all, the sun shines on it, the water falls on it, organic water falls on it, and it breathes clean, fresh air. Things that are in the ground. So if you pull things out the ground, the sun don't shine on it, the water don't fall on it, and it doesn't breathe clean, fresh air. So there's two differences. Things you pull out of the ground, the majority of them, if not all, rots. It stank. It has a stench to it. So you
Potatoes,
put that,
yes.
all of it. So you put it in your body, it's going to do the same thing. Things above the ground, it ferments. It gets sweeter. You know, becomes a nectar. You know, once again, it has life in it. It's colorful. It's vibrant. It's juicy. It's succulent. Things out the ground generally is kind of bitter. You have to cook it in order for the sugar to come out. And there's a big difference. Peanuts in the ground, almonds above the ground. So once you start to think about the food sources and think about what the Creator designated for man to eat, then I think people start to really see how they can make different choices, because we're not following that at all. So henceforth, we're receiving the ramifications of those choices. So that's very much important. So when we know that, then when we know better, I feel that everyone can do better. So then therefore we start to plan. So we plan to eat and make sure that we have more live foods, more foods with color, more foods that have seeds in it, and not allow a man to constantly try to serve us foods without seeds. I'm like, what's a watermelon? Don't have seeds. Now I can't even plant a watermelon patch if I want one. And the fact that it doesn't have a seed in it means it's like almost like a woman that doesn't have the ability to reproduce. Do you really call it a woman, that person a woman at that point? You know, if they are not given that. I'm just saying. It's just the same thing as far as like food with seed. That means it has some sort of inability. You know, the food with seeds in it, the plants, it absorb all the nutrients, it puts it into the food, and then you eat all that succulent food, and it's supposed to give you nutrition. If you don't have a seed in your food, then that means it's not able to do something. What it's not able to do, you don't really know. But it's not doing something because something's missing, the seed. You know, so those kind of logics and mindsets, I think, needs to start to be thought about. So we need to plan. We just talked about educating about healthy foods and what the body needs to progress. And then main thing in rectifying, we talked about exercise just a little bit. Getting stronger and getting faster is my primary goal in teaching people. When we talk about exercise and training, it's about how fast you can become, how strong you can become. Because I've seen overweight joggers, overweight runners, overweight marathon participators, you know, overweight athletes, but you don't see an overweight sprinter because they move fast, they move with power. So then therefore their body automatically burn up all that excess waste, all that excess fat. So when you're exercising, if your regimen is not getting you faster and stronger doesn't mean muscles. That's a myth. Bruce Lee was a small guy, but he had a lot of power. Their strength is just getting stronger than what you are. If you can't do one push-up, then if you're exercising, then you should be trying to do 10 push-ups. You know, and that's not going to make you a big, bulky person whatsoever. You're just stronger. And therefore, you need that strength to support your bones. As you get older, you're going to need that support. So, and moving faster, that's the difference between a young person and the old person. Flexibility and speed. Strength, that's the only difference. If you can maintain as you age flexibility, speed, and strength, then you'll never get
Foxy, I see you.
This girl, Miss Fox, thinks she gonna eat our loaded yam, the whole thing, but that ain't going on. Jimmy Jam gonna smash it.
With my guest, Xavia Fox from Xavia Fox Talks.
And you can tell everybody what you want to be called by.
Xavia Fox here, still on the red carpet, representing
This X.